There are thousands of DOS games. Most of them are terrible. I play one selected at random with a 20-minute time limit and record it live. This is the result. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another random DOS game show. And what you're looking at is the basic running an executable screen. So it's running that in the background. And this is monospace. Now, before I get started, there's some controls, arrows to move around, control to shoot your normal weapon, alt to shoot your special weapon. But nobody exactly knows how to run or play monospace. And I'll explain in due course, I guess. This is with DOSBox cycles set to auto. You press any key to play monospace. It's a sort of Gradius style game with a little influence from somewhere else. Let's see if you can spot it. So, we've got a little ship traveling through space, shooting. It's a side-scrolling shooter. But you'll also note that because it's programmed in BASIC, there are slowdown issues. It doesn't matter what cycle speed you play it at, whether you play it really quickly or really slowly, there will be slowdown depending on how much there is on the screen. But if you set the cycles count to about 3,000 instead of 30,000, or to auto, because auto seems to default to, then let's try this alt fire. Okay, there's my missile away, and it missed. Useless, Lawnie! But yeah, if you play it like 3,000, or, auto, it turns into, well, a sort of zen-like game. Listen to the music in the background. The music's lovely. The sound effects are in the right place. Everything makes a satisfying noise. And yeah, the fact that this is programmed in BASIC with some assembly routines, I believe, was something it said in the description. I don't know the full details on that. If this was released on itch or maybe even on Steam in this day and age, the indie types would absolutely lap this up, because this is combining the side-scrolling of a sort of Gradius or an R-type or a Nebula fighter with the wireframe mesh aesthetic of Asteroids. Isn't that cool? I managed to kill that guy with a laser that I shot ages ago. So these guys fire weapons, but because I'm running at such a slow cycles count, it's nice and relaxing. Also the game cheats, you can see there. Yep, that's passing through the guy rather than damaging him. There was a game I played recently called Mass Destruction, and it was very entertaining because the enemies' explosions would kill each other. Not so much here. But yeah, there was a sort of time in my life when I was very young, and we were on a camping trip. Oh, we've upgraded our ship there, so we get to shoot 2 lasers instead of 1. I think that's temporary, might be wrong. But yeah, we were on this camping trip, and there was this recreational center or something, and in the middle of the center was this old CRT screen, and it was inserted into this like bizarre kind of like difficult to describe really. I'm trying to remember something from over 35 years ago, I think, and it was in the center of this room, and you went up to the screen, and there was this black and white monochromatic wireframe mesh, and I believe it may well have been the first computer game I ever saw, and played for that matter, and it was called Asteroids. And this isn't playing anything like Asteroids, as you can tell, because the slowdown is really starting to hit now. But the combination of this nice retro-y music with, the little sound effects and the wireframe meshes is oddly nostalgic, Unfortunately, we've reached a point now where it's really starting to slow down This would happen at any speed, by the way. But because I've got it at that slower cycles count, thanks to DOSBox's auto feature, I can just take my time. So it's almost like a game feature that the programmer decided to leave in. There's the checkpoint. So there we are. If we die, we'll go back to that. It's one long contiguous level, and here we are. The aforementioned Asteroids. Yeah! It just makes me nostalgic, you know? Look, it's breaking apart into pieces! Ah, memories. So yeah, it was like the greatest thing I'd ever seen. You know? Asteroids. And then a few years later, I was over at my cousin's house, and they had, I believe it was a BBC. I might be wrong about that. But they were playing a game called Jetpac. And I saw that, and I was like, wow, that's incredible. Then I looked it up later. And by later, I mean in, you know, this year. And yeah, it was like a revelationary moment. It was like, I never knew the name of that game that they were playing, or I'd forgotten. And then suddenly it was like, hey, yeah, I remember this. So I'll probably play Jetpac at some point. It's not actually on DOS. I think there are various clones of it. But that's beside the point. I'm rambling here. There's just something very peaceful and zen about just destroying these in slow motion almost, you know. I think Zirconi, you know, the DOS gaming footage channel, has footage of it playing at a higher speed, if you want to look at that. Now, the Exodus version also plays at higher speed, but the slowdowns are much more noticeable. And the archive version, I think it plays at 3000 cycles. It's much slower and more zen. Nobody can really make their mind up. But, you know, I think because it was released in 1997, it's actually meant to be played at a faster speed, you know, to be more inspired by, you know, the side-scrolling shooters. But as is often the case with these things, you know, it's player's choice at the end of the day. That's what DOS gaming was really about, you know. Look out for the rhomboids! Or are they cubes? Are you cubes or rhomboids? Well, it doesn't matter, you're giving me plenty of power-ups. Come on, Lawnie, get your geometrical perception in order here. You should know a cube from a rhomboid. Let's see if I can just pick up those power-ups. So, when it's trying to render those shapes, it slows down significantly. But because those shapes can take a lot of damage, again, it's a nice sort of gameplay feature in a way. So yeah, this is the sort of game, you know, you can just sit and play and relax and enjoy endlessly. I probably spent too long on it already. You know, it's nothing spectacular. It's just, you know, as the Gen Z people would say, it's an aesthetic, man. You know? It just brings me back to that time. I wasn't expecting to go there today. Come on, let me pick up that power-up. Oh! Wow! Did that just, like, give me some super weapon boost there? Sweet. Well, you know what? I think it's time to launch another missile. There we go. Whoa! It launched a pile of them. Yeah! That caused some damage. Very satisfying, old school style graphics and sound. Okay. But because of all the explosions, it's, yeah, slowing down significantly. So, I think that's it. I'll leave it there. What is this? It's a very entertaining little wireframe mesh side-scrolling game, which is notable for, you know, being made in BASIC, of all things. And it's very competently done. The only problem, of course, is the slowdowns. If you can get over the slowdowns, then yeah, it's a very fun game, and depending on the cycle speed you want to play it at. I enjoyed myself. Maybe you'll enjoy it the way I enjoyed it too, or maybe you'll go and play it as a sort of fast-paced frenetic shooter that suffers from slowdowns, which is probably the way it's meant to be played, in all actuality. And if you like me talking about random DOS games, I do it all the time. Feel free to take a look at the hundreds of other videos on my channel. If you like what you see there, you can always subscribe. And if you like slowing down the cycles counts of games that probably shouldn't be slowed down because they're more meditative, you're probably one of my meditative, calm and zen patrons or members. Look at those great names. They will sit upon a mountaintop, dispensing DOS-related wisdom like a seer of the old ages of yore. Yeah, that came off the top of my head. So yeah, very enjoyable experience, but obviously it's not the greatest game of all time, and if you want a side-scrolling shooter with frenetic pace, you should probably look elsewhere. Until next time.